In this video, we will learn how to write a business letter in 5 parts. In part 1 we'll describe sample business letter. In part 2 we'll discuss beginning the letter. In part number 3 we'll discuss composing the body. In part 4 we'll illustrate closing the letter. In part 5 we'll illustrate finalizing the letter. Need to write a polished, professional letter. Most business letters follow an established, easy-to-learn format that you can adapt to any type of content. A business letter should always contain the date, information about the sender and recipient, and a few body paragraphs. Follow these steps and modify them as necessary to fit your company's standards. Part 2. Beginning the letter. Step 1. Know the format. Whatever the content of your letter, there are a few business standards to follow regarding the way it looks. Business letters should be typed and composed in a conservative and common font such as Helvetica, Myriad, or Times New Roman. Employ block paragraphing. This means that you start a new paragraph by hitting return twice. Don't use indenting for block paragraphs. Use 1-inch margins on all sides. An emailed business letter should also be composed in a common font. Don't use script or colors other than black and white in a business email. Step 2. Choose the right kind of paper. The letter should be printed on 8.5 by 11 inches, known as letter size. If you live outside North America, you might use size A4 paper. Some lengthy contracts may be printed on 8.5 by 14 inches, legal size. If you're printing the letter to send, consider printing the letter on company letterhead. This lends it a more professional air and provides your company's logo and contact information. Step 3. Include information about your company. List your company name and the company address, with each part of the address written on a different line. If you're self-employed or an independent contractor, add your name either in place of the company name or above it. If your company has a pre-designed letterhead, you can use this instead of typing out your company and address. If you're typing out the address, it should appear either right or left justified at the top of the page, depending on you and your company's preference. If you're sending the letter to an international location, type out the country in capital letters. 2. Research source. Step 4. Include the date. Writing out the full date is the most professional choice. For example, write either April 1, 2012, or the 1st of April 2012. This should appear left justified a few lines below the sender's address. If you wrote your letter over several days, use the date that you finished the letter. 3. Research source. Step 5. Add the recipient's information. Write out the recipient's full name, title, if applicable, company name, and address in that order, with each piece of information on a separate line. If necessary, include a reference number. The recipient's information should be left justified a few lines below the date. It is best to address the letter to a specific person. This way, an actual person will be able to respond to your letter. If you don't know the name of the person to whom you should send the letter, do a bit of research. Call the company to find out the person's name and title. 4. Research source. Step 6. Choose a salutation. The salutation is an important indicator of respect, and which one you use will depend on whether you know the person to whom you're writing, how well you know them, and the level of formality in your relationship. Employ, to whom it may concern, only if you don't know whom, specifically, you're addressing. If you do not know the recipient well, dear sir, madam, is a safe choice. You may also use the recipient's title and last name, e.g., dear Dr. Smith. If you know the recipient well and enjoy an informal relationship with him or her, you may consider a first name address, e.g., dear Susan. If you are unsure of the recipient's gender, simply type the whole name, e.g., dear Chris Smith. Don't forget a comma after a salutation or a colon after, to whom it may concern. Part 3. Composing the body. Step 1. Strike the right tone. Time is money, as the saying goes, and most business people hate to waste time. The tone of your letter, therefore, should be brief and professional. Make your letter a quick read by diving straight into the matter and keeping your comments brief in the first paragraph. For instance, you can always start with, I am writing to you regarding, and go from there. Don't concern yourself with flowery transitions, big words, or lengthy, meandering sentences. Your intent should be to communicate what needs to be said as quickly and cleanly as possible. Be persuasive in your letter. Most likely the purpose of your letter is to persuade your reader to do something. Change their mind, correct a problem, send money or take action. Make your case. Step 2. Use personal pronouns. It is perfectly fine to use I, we, and you in your business letter. Refer to yourself as I, and your reader as you. Be aware if you're writing the letter on an organization's behalf. If you are stating the company's perspective, you should use we, so that the reader knows that the company stands behind your statement. If you are writing your own opinion, stick with I. 6. Trustworthy source. University of North Carolina Writing Center UNC's on-campus and online instructional service that provides assistance to students, faculty, and others during the writing process. Go to source. Step 3. Write clearly and concisely. Let your reader know exactly what you are trying to say. Your reader will only respond quickly if your meaning is crystal clear. In particular, if there is some result or action you want taken because of your letter, state what it is. Explain your position in as few words as possible. Step 4. Use the active voice when describing a situation or making a request. Make sure to choose the active voice, rather than the passive voice. The passive voice can make your writing ambiguous or impersonal. In addition, the active voice is more streamlined and straight to the point. Passive. The sunglasses are not designed or manufactured with attention to their durability. Active. Your company designs and manufactures sunglasses without attention to their durability. Step 5. Be conversational when appropriate. Letters are written by people to people. Avoid form letters if possible. You cannot build a relationship with canned impersonal letters. However, stay away from colloquial language or slang such as, you know, I mean, or, wanna. Keep the tone businesslike, but be friendly and helpful. If you know the recipient well, it's fine to include a friendly line sending good wishes. Use your judgment when determining how much personality to reveal. Sometimes adding a little humor is actually helpful in a business setting, but err on the side of caution before making a joke. Step 6. Be courteous. Even if you are writing with a complaint or concern, you can be courteous. Consider the recipient's position and offer to do whatever you can, within reason, to be accommodating and helpful. For example, a discourteous complaint might read, I think your sunglasses suck and I am never buying them again. A courteous complaint might read, I am disappointed with the construction of your sunglasses, and I plan to take my business elsewhere in the future. Step 7. Use the second page letterhead for additional pages. Most business letters should be concise enough to be one page in length only. But if you have something lengthier, such as a contract or legal findings, you may need additional pages. Use the second page letterhead, which usually has an abbreviated address and is made of the same type of paper as the first page letterhead. Include the page number on the second and subsequent pages, at the top of the page. You may also want to include the recipient's name and the date. Step 8. Wrap it up. In the last paragraph, summarize your points and clearly outline either your planned course of action or what you expect from the recipient. Note that the recipient may contact you with questions or concerns, and say thank you for his or her attention to the matter at hand. Part 4. Closing the letter. Step 1. Choose a closing. Step 2. Sign the letter. Leave about 4 lines empty for your signature. Sign the letter after you've printed it, or, if you're sending it via email, scan an image of your signature and affix it to this part of the letter. Blue or black ink is preferred. If you are signing the letter on someone's behalf, write PP before your signature. This stands for per procurationem, which means by agency, or on behalf of. 8x research source. Step 3. Include your typed name and contact information. Beneath your signature, type your name, title, phone number, email address and any other applicable means of contact. Give each piece of information its line. Step 4. Add the typist's initials. If someone other than the writer typed up the letter, you should add this person's initials below the signature block. Sometimes, the letter writer's initials are also included. Then it is clear who worked on this letter. For example, if you include just the typist's initials, write them in lowercase, MJ. If you include the writer's initials, put these in uppercase with the typist's initials in lowercase, RW, MJ. Some styles add a slash between the two sets of initials, RW, MJ. Step 5. Make note of enclosures. If you've enclosed additional documents for the recipient to review, note this a few lines beneath your contact info by noting the number and type of documents. For example, write, enclosures, 2, resume, brochure. You can also abbreviate enclosures by writing, ankle, or ENCE. Step 6. Add additional recipients' names. If you are sending a copy of the letter to another person, you should include this in the letter. This is noted by typing CC below the enclosures line, which stands for courtesy copy, along with the person's name and title, CC, used to indicate carbon copy when letters were typed on carbon copy paper. For example, write CC Mary Smith, Vice President of Marketing. If you are adding more than one name, align the second name underneath the first name, but without the CC. Part 5. Finalizing the letter. Step 1. Edit the letter. Presentation is a key element of being professional. Make sure that the recipient will easily be able to see you as capable and in charge of editing your letter for errors. Run spellcheck on your word processor, but also give the letter a thorough read before you send it. Ask yourself whether the letter is clear and concise. Are any paragraphs more than 3 or 4 sentences long? If so, determine whether you can eliminate unnecessary statements. If the letter is extremely important, you might want to have a friend or colleague look it over. Sometimes a second pair of eyes can help you catch errors or awkward wording you may not have noticed. Step 2. Don't staple your letter. If you have multiple pages, staples are generally avoided. If you want to ensure that the papers stay in order, then use a paperclip at the top left corner. Step 3. Post the letter. If you're sending the letter via post, use a business envelope. If available, use one with the company logo printed on it. Neatly print your return address and the recipient's address. Fold the letter into third parts, such that the recipient will first unfold the top flap, then the bottom flap. Make sure you affix sufficient postage and send it off. If you feel like your handwriting is messy and doesn't match your professional persona, type the addresses in your word processor and run the envelope through your printer. If the letter is extremely important and/or time-sensitive, consider having it delivered by courier. If you want to email the letter, convert the letter in HTML or save it as a PDF to preserve formatting. It is better, however, to send the physical letter. This concludes this tutorial. I hope this helped and gave you a better understanding on how to write a business letter. If you enjoyed this video, please hit the like button and consider subscribing for more content in the future.